welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The air in the circus tent swelled with the scent of popcorn and the buzz of an eager crowd. The stage was a riot of colors, sparkling under the floodlights. I sat in the front row, my eyes scanning the bustling movement backstage through the gap in the curtains, waiting for Mara's act to begin. My wife, Mara, had become the star attraction of Cirque du Spectacle, with her mesmerizing juggling performances. Tonight, she was set to dazzle with her new partner, Leo, in their pair's juggling act. As the lights dimmed, a hush fell over the audience. The announcer's voice boomed through the speakers, introducing the most dynamic duo of the circus, Mara and Leo. Applause thundered as they stepped into the limelight, their costumes glittering with sequins and their smiles as bright as the spotlights trained on them. Mara looked breathtaking, her movements fluid and precise as she tossed the colorful pins into the air. Leo, tall and agile, matched her throw for throw, their timing impeccable. They moved as one entity, their routine a thrilling dance of flying pins, weaving around each other with athletic grace. The audience was enraptured, gasping and cheering as the pins flew higher and the throws grew more daring. Sitting there, pride swelled in my chest. Mara had practiced relentlessly for this performance, and it was paying off. The act concluded with a spectacular final throw, the pins spinning high above before they deftly caught them, their arms raised in triumph. The crowd leapt to their feet, the applause deafening. "Another fantastic performance, my love," I exclaimed as I entered her dressing room after the show. The door was slightly ajar, and I pushed it open with a smile, ready to congratulate her. The scene before me froze me in my tracks. Mara, half-dressed, looked up in shock, her eyes wide. Beside her, Leo hastily adjusted his costume, an embarrassed flush creeping up his neck. My heart hammered painfully against my ribcage, a cold dread settling in my stomach. On the dressing table, scattered amidst makeup and brushes, were the juggling pins from their act. "Mason, it's not what it looks like," Mara stammered, her voice trembling. But the image was unmistakably clear. The betrayal sliced through me, sharp and sudden. I struggled to find words, my mind reeling from the deceit laid bare before my eyes. "How long, Mara?" My voice was a whisper, hoarse with a cocktail of emotions. "It's not an affair, Mason. Please, let me explain." She reached out, her fingers brushing against my arm in a plea. I stepped back, her touch burning like ice. "Save it. I saw enough." Turning on my heel, I stormed out, the echoes of my wife's desperate calls fading behind the slamming of the door. The chill of the evening air hit me as I stepped outside the tent, the laughter and chatter of the dispersing crowd a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. As I walked away, the weight of what I had witnessed bore down on me. My thoughts raced, plotting, planning. Mara's deception wouldn't go unanswered. Revenge, a dark whisper in the back of my mind, promised a way to reclaim my shattered dignity. The stage was set, not just for the circus acts, but for my own carefully orchestrated performance. One that would ensure that the world saw Mara not as the star she was, but as the traitor I knew. The game had just begun. The next morning found me outside the cafe across from the circus tent, a steaming cup of coffee untouched in front of me. My mind raced with countless scenarios, each more vengeful than the last. As I sat wrapped in my dark thoughts, a familiar voice pulled me back to reality. "Mason, you look like you've seen a ghost, man." It was Tom, the lighting technician for the circus, his concerned gaze scrutinizing my haggard appearance. "Morning, Tom." "Just a rough night," I muttered, forcing a weak smile. Tom slid into the seat opposite me, his expression turning serious. "Heard about Mara and Leo. Rough doesn't start to cover it, huh?" I stiffened, surprised by how quickly the gossip had spread. "You know. Word travels fast in the circus." "Sorry, Mason." If you need someone to talk to, Tom offered, but I was already shaking my head. Thanks, but I've got other plans. My voice was cold, more detached than I intended. Tom raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. Oh? Planning a little show of your own. You could say that. I need something big, Tom. Something that'll turn the spotlight back on her for all the wrong reasons. Tom nodded slowly, his eyes narrowing as he leaned in closer. I might have just the thing. You know the finale stunt Leo's been planning? The one with the fire rings and motorbikes. I nodded, recalling Mara's excited chatter about the upcoming death-defying act. Well, Tom continued, his voice lowering to a whisper, what if something were to go unpredictably wrong? I considered this, the gears in my mind turning. Go on. We tamper with the bikes. Nothing dangerous enough to cause serious harm, but enough to cause a scene. A big, embarrassing failure, live in front of an audience. The idea was tempting, dangerously so. And the fallout? Leo takes the blame. Safety checks are his responsibility. Your wife gets dragged down with him. Guilt by association. It was perfect, too perfect to pass up. Do it. Make sure it's untraceable. Tom nodded, a sly grin spreading across his face. Consider it done. As Tom left, another figure approached my table. It was Elena, the trapeze artist and, as it turned out, a close friend of Mara's. Mason, we need to talk, she began, her tone earnest. I know you're upset, and you have every right to be, but revenge isn't the answer. I looked up at her, my resolve firm. It's too late for talk, Elena. Mara made her choice. Elena sighed, a look of disappointment crossing her features. I thought you were better than this, Mason. Think about what this will do to everyone involved. The circus is a family. The family that hides betrayal. I retorted sharply. She paused, her argument faltering. Just, think about what you're doing. Please. But my mind was made up. As Elena walked away, I felt a surge of determination. The circus had indeed been a family to me, but it was also the stage for my revenge. Mara and Leo would soon learn the cost of their deception. The show was about to begin, and I had the best seat in the house. The day of the grand finale loomed like a dark cloud. I walked around the circus grounds, feigning normalcy, but inside, my stomach churned with anticipation and dread. The afternoon sun glinted off the metal and fabric of the big top, casting long shadows that seemed to echo my own dark intentions. I spotted Tom near the motorbike tent, his figure bent over the machines, his hands deftly making adjustments. I approached quietly, not wanting to draw attention. Is it done? I whispered, glancing around to ensure we were alone. Tom wiped his hands on a rag and nodded. It's subtle. The bikes will start fine, run a bit, then gradually lose power. It'll look like a rookie mistake, like they forgot the fuel mix or something. Good, I replied, feeling a twinge of guilt that I quickly suppressed. And the safety? Everything's safe, Mason. I wouldn't actually hurt anyone. Just a scare, that's all. I nodded, reassured by his words but still tense. Let's keep it that way. As we parted ways, I could feel the weight of every step heavier than the last. The rest of the day passed in a blur of colors and sounds, none of which registered fully as I awaited the evening's performance. The stands were packed, the air thick with excitement and the sweet smell of cotton candy. Families, couples, and groups of friends chattered animatedly, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of the setting sun filtering through the tent fabric. The show progressed, act after act dazzling the audience, building up to the finale. Mara and Leo were up last, their motorbike stunt set to be the highlight. My heart pounded as they appeared, the crowd cheering wildly. They looked confident, waving to their fans, completely unaware of the impending debacle. As they mounted their bikes, I held my breath, my hands clenched in my jacket pockets. The engines roared to life, echoing like thunder under the big top. They started off strong, speeding towards the first set of flaming rings. The first pass-through was flawless, the crowd's cheers almost deafening. But as they geared up for the second, more dangerous set of maneuvers, I noticed Leo's bike begin to falter. His expression changed from one of thrill to confusion, then to concern as he tapped on the gauge. Mara glanced over, her face mirroring his anxiety as her bike too started to sputter. The pair slowed, trying to rev the engines, but the bikes only coughed and choked, the power draining from them like water from a sieve. The audience's cheers turned to murmurs of concern. The ringmaster, sensing trouble, stepped forward, his voice booming over the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. We seem to be experiencing technical difficulties." Leo and Mara, now on foot, pushed their bikes off to the side, their faces flushed with embarrassment and confusion. As they conferred with the crew, I could see the frustration and panic in their gestures. From the other side of the arena, Elena caught my eye, her expression one of disappointment and sorrow. She shook her head slowly, a silent reprimand that I felt deep in my chest. As the crowd began to disperse, the buzz of disappointed and concerned whispers filling the air, I felt a hollow victory. I had wanted to expose and humiliate, but at what cost? The sight of Mara's crestfallen face, the ripple of impact on the whole circus family, suddenly weighed heavily on me. As the lights dimmed and the crowd thinned, I remained seated, alone with my thoughts. The revenge I had thought would bring satisfaction instead brought a bitter taste to my mouth. Had I gone too far? The question lingered as the shadows grew longer, and the circus ground fell silent. The aftermath of the failed stunt was more chaotic than I had anticipated. Accusations flew, technicians scrambled to analyze what had gone wrong, and the circus owner demanded answers. Meanwhile, Mara and Leo were at the center of it all, their reputations hanging by a thread. As the evening turned into night, I found myself pacing outside Mara's trailer, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Finally, gathering my resolve, I knocked on her door. It swung open, revealing Mara, her eyes red-rimmed and weary. "Mason, what are you doing here?" Her voice was tired, devoid of the usual vibrancy. "I came to talk," I said, stepping inside, the weight of my decisions heavy on my shoulders. Mara sighed, sinking into a chair. "About what happened tonight?" "It was a disaster. I don't know how." "It was me," I interrupted, the confession bursting from me. "I sabotaged the bikes." Mara stared, shock overtaking her features. "You what? Why would you do that?" "To hurt you," I admitted, the words tasting bitter. "I saw you and Leo. I thought." "You thought what?" "That we were having an affair." Mara's voice rose, a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Weren't you?" I challenged, though my certainty waned with her reaction. Mara laughed, a sad, hollow sound. "Mason, Leo is gay. He's been my friend since we started here. He was helping me adjust my costume, that's all. There was never anything between us." The room spun as her words sank in. A horrible realization dawned on me, the ground shifting beneath my feet. I didn't know." "Of course, you didn't," Mara said sharply. "Because you never asked. You just assumed the worst." Guilt washed over me in waves. "Mara, I'm so..." "Save it," she cut me off, standing to face me. "Your jealousy and revenge ruined everything. The circus, our careers, our marriage. I can't even look at you right now." I stepped back, her words a slap. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying it's over, Mason." Mara's voice was resolute, her eyes steely. I can't be with someone who has so little trust in me. Who would go to such lengths to hurt me? The finality in her tone left no room for argument. I turned to leave, my heart heavy, my actions irredeemable. As I walked away from the trailer, the cold night air did nothing to ease the burning shame inside me. I had destroyed the most important relationship in my life over a misperception, propelled by unwarranted jealousy. The following day, the circus was abuzz with whispers and rumors. Tom approached me, his expression grim. Heard about you and Mara. And about what you did. That wasn't cool, man. I nodded, accepting his judgment. I know. I'm leaving today. And the circus? Tom asked. Will be better off without me, I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. With a heavy heart, I packed my belongings, each item a reminder of the life I was leaving behind. As I drove away from the circus, the place that had been my home, the reality of my solitude settled in. Years passed, and the circus continued without me. Mara's career flourished, untarnished by the scandal once the truth came out. And Leo, by her side, remained a loyal friend. As for me, I drifted, my life a series of regretful what-ifs. The curtain had fallen on my time at the circus, and with it, on my marriage to Mara. In my quest for revenge, I had lost everything. The deception, once revealed, had parted us forever, not because of her infidelity, but because of my own misguided hatred.